Welcome in to the Blues Hub postgame presented by Hot Shots here on Sports Hub STL, which is presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Blues lose tonight, 4-3 to Edmonton. I think I don't have any words for this game as of right now. So Thomas Welch joining us here tonight. Whoever's staying up, I applaud you, and I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us here. But Thomas, your thoughts on a very forgettable game tonight by the Blues?
Well, the good news is Calgary lost, so there's your bright side of the rainbow, if you will. But like you said, kind of, not a great performance from the St. Louis Blues. At the same time, Edmonton is a dominant team, and Connor McDavid on the other side, best player in the world. So it's a tall task for them. But really, like, you want to show what you're capable of doing against a playoff team, against a team that's been so good consistently throughout the course of this season. And like Chat is saying right off the bat, Oilers were playing with 5 defensemen, obviously did not have Draisaitl as well. So it was kind of a wounded dog, if you will. The Blues it looked like they had the same struggles as they did last game, and very sloppy in their own defensive zone, which against teams like the Oilers, you can kind of get away with it. Like we talked about on the last post game, when you're going up against teams like Nashville, teams like Chicago, kind of those bottom dwelling teams that they were kind of facing off against in the win streak, but now coming out on the other side of it, there's different beasts that you're going up against. And the Edmonton Oilers will absolutely make you pay if you give them power plays, and make you pay if you cough it up in front of your own net. And the Blues did that multiple times tonight, which is why they ended up on the wrong side of the result. But the good news is they still kind of hold their own destiny in their hands. Like I said, Calgary losing tonight, they did make it to overtime, so they got the point. The Blues didn't make it to overtime. If you saw, got scored on with 19 seconds left in the game, which is kind of become a reoccurring theme for this team. And I know Chad has talked about it. Is that something to worry about? And we said, no, it's fine. But as of right now, I'm a little worried about it, especially as we're gearing up for a potential playoff run. Those are the things that you need to nip in the bud as soon as possible. And you're running out of time and running out of games to fix those mistakes before the playoffs start. So it is concerning. It is a concerning result. But at the same time, the Blues, since Four Nations, have put themselves in a position where they can kind of hold their own destiny, and that is a good position to be in. So hopefully they turn it around next game and get them on the right side. There's still potential to clinch next game, I believe. So like I said, they kind of hold all their cards right now, but not a promising result by any stretch.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really took a toll on me was second period. It was god-awful, to say the least. It was, man, and again, it was another a good response, but I thought Binnington had a good game. There was a couple of rough goals that he gave up that, maybe he could have made an extra save, but, none of them, again, were easy saves to make. But the second period as a whole was sloppy. They had difficulty not just getting it out of the zone, but just establishing any kind of offensive zone pressure, and also forecheck as well. A lot of bad turnovers, and that's what allowed the Oilers to get right back in the game. And again, you like to see that third period where they, started off super hot. And I think, when you give up that goal right after tying it, though, that is where the wheels kind of started falling off, even after Buchnevich tied it up again. It was just a rough game. And I think, you want to try and pull out excuses. And obviously, I'm not flying off the rails saying, oh, we're just right back to Blues hockey from November. But again, this is a concerning loss in a lot of ways, against a playoff team in the Oilers, against a good team, who, they have one or two, they have a couple of superstars, and they're going to add another one in Draisaitl when he's healthy. So if that's a possible opponent of the Blues, and they're playing like that tonight without most of their guys in, and there's some of their best out of it, it's certainly concerning. And you look at the Jets, who arguably are playing better hockey than the Oilers, and we expected the loss to come, especially against the Jets, and they played them tight. But tonight, I mean, they got dismantled in 40 minutes or in 20 minutes of this game. The other 40 was just back and forth hockey that they had the upper hand maybe 60% of the time, where the Oilers just continue to go right back down the Blues' throats. And there was good spurts. The beginning of the first period seemed hopeful, but then it just seemed to all of a sudden fall apart, especially after that first intermission, which I honestly have no idea what happened. I really don't. And you got to wonder what happened in the locker room following that second period. I'm guessing if I'm Montgomery, I'm throwing a trash can, to be completely honest, if that's me. But again, you look at this game, I think the one thing I will say is that Robert Thomas had a great game again. The top line continued to produce. I thought Snuggerud honestly had a couple of good plays in there every now and then, seeing him progress a little bit more, and now seeing him play with Dvorsky as well. But the top line is the one that produced, and that was kind of it. And you need to see more depth for the team.
It was kind of a nice old throwback moment to see Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou get some minutes together with Kyrou on his wing, and get some, offensive potential there. That was kind of fun. But chat's going off about the officiating, and I think I was tweeting out all game, like the amount of shots that Binner was taking was pissing me off personally. You got Corey Perry just hockey stopping on his forehead to start the game.
Which is ridiculous how that
just absurd, dude. And Monty said it best on the bench. That's just not a hockey play, not at all. So that just kind of set the tone for the game. And credit to him. I think Blues fans have seen it firsthand. Every single time anything happens revolving Binnington, anyone online, on Twitter, anywhere will just jump down his throat because they know that it gets the clicks and gets the engagement, right? But we have seen firsthand, he's gone from this WWE fire heel character to a Buddha in the back of the net. He understands that he's got this this reputation now with the officials. They're not giving him the time of day for anything. So he's been working hard throughout the course of this time frame to kind of reinvent himself as that Buddha, as a guy that's, not going to throw punches every chance that he gets. But when a guy like Corey Perry is taking liabilities that early in the game and getting skate blades close to your face, I completely understand him getting his wires crossed. And I think it's telling that Jake Neighbors immediately after Binnington takes two shots to the back of Corey Perry's head, Jake Neighbors feels the need to step in too and take some more. So that was, a rough start to the game. But, anytime that Binner gets you fired up like that, it feels like it kind of fires up the rest of the team. And it was nice to see that the Blues didn't really hang their heads and were never really out of it. They kind of scraped and clawed their way back into it, tying the game back up, all those things. So it is promising. But at the end of the day, this was not a great game from the St. Louis Blues, but the end result, losing by one goal, and that game-winning goal happening with 20 seconds left in the game, potentially pushing a game to overtime in a game where you performed this badly. Before Four Nations, this game probably is a 6-1 victory for the Oilers, or a 5-0 blowout. You know what I mean? So I think, if we're trying to look at the bright side of this outcome, the fact that the Blues can hang with a playoff level team that has Connor McDavid on it. Yes, they were playing with 5 defensemen, and yes, they didn't have Draisaitl, but we're also dealing with some injuries on our side. Losing by a goal in this instance, I'm just saying it could be worse, right? It could be worse of an outcome. But yeah, a lot to build off of, but a lot to learn from for sure with this game. And I think it's a great test for the St. Louis Blues to kind of see where they're at going into the playoffs. And they know that this is rearing its ugly head probably at the worst possible time and showing against like better level team. So you got to figure that out before the playoffs start, or it's going to be an early exit for sure.
And talking about, playoff games, games that matter, the Blues have that entire 12-game win streak, and not a single one of them means playoffs. They get right out of it, and, that first game against Winnipeg, now you have a chance to clinch a playoff game. Or now you have a chance to clinch a playoff, you get a playoff berth. In the same situation again tonight, whether Calgary wins or loses, that doesn't matter. It's the fact that the Blues still have to win. In these past 2 games, they weren't able to get it done. And I think that's concerning as a Blues fan. Has it been obviously against 2 incredibly tough teams and obviously the toughest team in the league? Yes. But, I mean, you see, the fight's still there. It's just not coming throughout the entire 60. So, you talk about, the inability, obviously tonight to close out the game. Or against Winnipeg to really tie everything together. So big games in general, is that something we're going to see with the Blues when, if they are able to make the playoffs and it comes to a game 4, game 5, game 6, where they need to win to stay alive? Is that concerning to see that now here in the games that matters that they're losing, especially in this style?
I think it would definitely be concerning. I think it was also concerning for me, like on a couple of those goals, the net front presence, I think, especially with Colton Parayko out of the lineup, but even like at times Dylan Holloway's physicality, like clearing those bodies in front of the net, especially with these playoff teams that know kind of the grit that it takes, and the effort and it's not always going to be like Connor McDavid just beating a goalie clean, especially when your goalie is Jordan Binnington. Like getting guys in front of Binnington's eyes, getting guys in his kitchen like they did early with Corey Perry, making him uncomfortable, I think is not just the key to success for the Edmonton Oilers against the St. Louis Blues, but the key to success for any playoff team against any playoff team. So I think the Blues have a long way to go in kinds of cleaning that up, especially without Colton Parayko in the lineup. Because on one of the goals, I forget which one it was, but they had a guy standing in front of Binnington, and I think it was Broberg and Leddy were just standing there, and he pitched a tent and was making his laundry, and they didn't even touch him. And the puck goes in the back of the net. So it's things like that, I think, where the Blues kind of fall into their old ways of, we've kind of seen them struggle with that net front presence before. And it's why when Broberg came in and, kind of set the world on fire as soon as he came here, that everybody was so happy. And then with the season that Colton Parayko has had, he's been so crucial for this team. But kind of falling back into those old bad habits, I think, is at the worst possible time too, is a recipe for disaster. That's for sure.
I mean, I think, we talk about the Winnipeg loss being awakening. This is probably the most awakening that we got. Yes, we have reached into the morning, unfortunately. So happy Thursday, everyone, because that's a great way to start your Thursday morning is on this kind of note. So, you look at the playoff picture right now, and the unfortunate part of this loss too is now, the entire conversation of, the playoffs was, who would you rather play, Winnipeg or Vegas? Now we're kind of back to is this going to be a sure thing that we are even going to be in the playoffs? So I think as of right now, the last thing we want to worry about, especially as the fan base is fighting with Minnesota for the spots. And right as of right now, it's going to be a big game Friday for the Wild. That's when they play the Flames. That's going to be as big as it gets for not just those two, but for the Blues as well. The Flames do still have 2 games in hand on the Blues, 1 game in hand on the Wild. So that could mean a lot, especially coming into Saturday. So again, right now, the concerning thing is looking at it, and everyone's getting so excited of, hey, they're back in the playoffs. They're going to be back in the playoffs. Now it's, hey, we're going to be sure we make the playoffs, right? Like that's going to happen, right? And that's kind of another, unfortunate part of this loss is now we're looking at it like, oh, are we for sure in, or is it now, drawing back a little bit? And I think that's, part of another thing. Blues are going to have to reset. They certainly are. This is going to have to be, I think this loss is the biggest kick in the pants you can get, especially with the spot that they're in. There's no worse loss than the one tonight. And I think everyone feels it. So, you come into Saturday, there's a lot of different things the Blues are looking at doing. And I think we might see them, I don't know about switch up the lines, but I think we're going to see, either I don't know if there'll be a return to how they were playing post Four Nations, or if we maybe see something different. But I definitely think we're going to see something different than these past two games. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, coming into Saturday in what could possibly be another chance to clinch a playoff spot, how they might look in a game after this.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting because, like, as much as I love and I believe in the potential of Jimmy Snuggerud and Dalibor Dvorsky, when you're trying to make a playoff spot, like, I think it's obvious to everybody watching that, like, they kind of stick out. Their games kind of stick out. Not so much in terms of, like, they're like an obvious weak link. But it's just like the puck fumbles or like the miscommunications and all those things. Like, they're just young, right? And they're not as polished as some of the veterans on here. And that's why you go out and get veterans in the off season, because those are the guys that are going to carry the load when it comes to making a playoff run. So for the St. Louis Blues, I don't know. All I know is I trust Jim Montgomery, and whatever lineup that he puts out, I'm going to believe that he's making the best decision for that, because he's our guy, right? And he's kind of shown, even in this stretch run, even if we don't make the playoffs, that, like, his philosophies and what he's teaching to this team, for the most part, is absolutely working once they get, the wheels under them, and he kind of finally gets his fingerprints on this team. But like you said, an important matchup against the Seattle Kraken on Saturday, another 9 p.m. start time, so that would be awesome. But the Kraken, I feel like the Blues have played well against the Kraken since they've kind of existed. You got old friends over there, and Jaden Schwartz.
Especially on the road in Seattle.
Yeah.
They've played very well out there.
Yeah, but to the Kraken's credit too, like, they've had a decent season, but Dacker and net has been like a godsend for them, especially for fantasy hockey teams, I know, as well. So that's going to be a difficult task if he's in net for them. But really, I think the most pressure is going to be the fact that if they lose this game, like, it all comes down to game 82, and that game 82 is against Utah. And even dating back to their days when they were in Arizona, they've just been an absolute thorn in the side for the St. Louis Blues as a franchise. So I don't want to get to that point. I would like to just go handle business and, hopefully come away with a win against the Kraken, and then you solidify your spot. Obviously, you probably need some help for that to happen and work out that way. But yeah, we have the makings of an absolute nightmare down the stretch for the St. Louis Blues in these last two games. So hopefully they make it more of a dream.
I think a comment I caught, looking at, over at the chat here, it was just the epitome of it. The winning streak was great, but it guaranteed nothing. Yeah, it was needed, obviously, if we wanted to get the push. But, he is right. It guaranteed nothing. It put us in the spot we are now, but that was one piece of multiple to get into the playoffs. And we need to now, the Blues need to try and close that out. So looking ahead, as we slowly start to wrap up, we hate to cut things short, but it's getting kind of late. And I know people watching.
Go to 4 a.m., dude.
Yeah.
We'll pull all nighter together. We're in this together. Let's just go until I see the sun.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd like to get some sleep before I have to go over and cover the Frozen Four tomorrow. So that'll be very exciting. Don't get me wrong, but I would like to get a little bit of sleep beforehand. Again, we're all excited for what could happen. But this is a tweet from Alex Ferrario. This is what he said. So Friday is going to be huge in the race. Calgary, of course, hosting Minnesota Friday. Says tomorrow, but it will be Friday is the game if I am correct. Make sure to double check that. Don't want to get anything wrong here.
Friday, yeah. So technically tomorrow.
Yeah, so it will be, yes, technically is tomorrow. So yes, so on Friday, tomorrow, Calgary hosts Minnesota. If Calgary loses in regulation, Ferrario says Blues only need to get a point. Overtime, all they need to do is make it to overtime or win in regulation. Calgary's out. Blues Wild are in. If Calgary loses overtime shootout, Blues need to get 2 points. They need to win no matter what, and then Calgary is eliminated. Of course, Vancouver and Utah both out with the Wild win today, so that lessens the race. But still, of course, need the Calgary loss, which they did today, but they still managed to get a point. And they beforehand they did string together a couple of good wins to stay alive. I think they fell the night beforehand as well. But either way, looking
what's frustrating is it, like you said, if Calgary loses, all we would need is a point against the Kraken, is what you're saying. But we just gave up that point tonight. So if we would have went to overtime tonight, all we would need is Calgary to lose against the Wild, and we would have been in. Frustrating.
Yeah, that is. It certainly is. It certainly is. And it wouldn't have hurt me as much, cheering for the Wild, but
yeah.
I still got that little bit of Minnesota in there. But sometimes you cheer for the guys who've been beat so much, Again, looking at the chat before we begin wrapping here, I'm saying we see Parayko on Friday. Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know if we'll see him again this year. I certainly doubt it unless he's really raring to go and ready. But as much as we'd love to see him, probably has just as good of odds of getting back with the team as Torrey Krug does this year. So we don't want to bet on anything just yet. And again, it's going to be a huge game Friday, and you look at how important it is coming up. And looking at the game, how does that, you think, impact the Blues, knowing that it's that day beforehand? It's not the same day, not the same night. It's not, you play and then after you're done playing, then you figure it out. It's right away. That what you're playing for the night before. So how do you think that would affect the Blues game on Saturday?
I think what really helps is you're going to get a chance to sleep on it, right? Like kind of what you're saying, like when you put your head down and go to bed Friday night, that your destiny is potentially in your own hands on Saturday, and exactly what result you need to get the outcome that you want. And so for the Blues, I think having that opportunity to not just have that mindset of like whole day preparation, Zen state of mind to where you're just locked and loaded. And a lot of these guys, have that playoff experience and also have that lack of a playoff experience and know what it's like to miss the playoffs and know how badly they want to get back to the playoffs. And I think giving those guys a chance to dwell on it and meditate on it, while also giving Jim Montgomery a chance to kind of talk the boys through that process and get them fired up and really hone in the importance of Saturday, I think is crucial for any team. It's all about preparation, right? Like the more prepared you are, the more prepared we are for these post games, the more confident I am, and the more I feel like I don't just spew nonsense on here. It's good for everybody. So I feel like the Blues will probably hopefully potentially follow suit in that and take care of business against the Kraken.
Well, the postseason coming up. Just a reminder to download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Once again, thank you for everyone staying up this late to join us here. Just a reminder, always you can subscribe right here on Sports Hub STL, catch all of our content after the fact, and also some other posted content as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Turn on notifications as well, because why not? Follow all of our socials and check out some of our other content over on sportshubstl.com. See a lot of content, especially by our buddy Mike Meyer, who's got some great pieces on the Blues and some prospects and other fun stuff. I'm sure we'll have some pieces up there following the Frozen Four, though. I think the Blues only have like 2 prospects right now in college hockey after Snuggerud has joined the team. So we'll see if that number goes up following draft day.
Still exciting stuff, especially St. Louis hosting it. I think is huge for the city. So
yeah,
just another, pin in the laurels of the heartland of hockey.
Oh yeah, I got a lot to cover with that. I'll tell you that. It'll be a lot coming out. If you want to follow me on Twitter, will be a lot of live, or on X, I should say, a lot of live posting. Mainly just on the St. Louis focus of the Frozen Four this year. That's kind of the goal of this year. And of course, no St. Louis teams, no Lindenwood, can't compete yet. Not that good yet, but we're getting there. We're getting close.
Yeah, but I'll be tuned into your Twitter for sure, because I'm be soaking all that content in. So it'll be awesome.
It's going to be huge. As much as I would have loved to see in the Gophers or Maine or some of those other big teams, I'm glad to see still a handful of Minnesotans here as well. And sadly, not as many St. Louisans from the college team. Actually, I think there's maybe one, and I believe that's Quinn Hudson from the St. Louis area, from Fairview Heights. Remember him? They talked about it in the press conference a little bit earlier today. But
we'll claim them as much as we can. We love it.
Hey,
we just keep expanding. It's like colonization.
All right. So before we get going, once again, so Blues right now at the moment, right behind the Wild because of point percentage, 7.007 behind the Wild in points percentage. That's why they sit in the wild card 2 spot at the moment. Of course, that doesn't really matter after this. It's just getting the playoffs. That's pretty much the only goal. Wild and Flames will be tomorrow night now. That will be, I believe, another late puck drop out in Calgary, Alberta. That'll also be a 9 p.m. Central puck drop. Last one of the day on Friday. So if you want to catch another late game, and before the Blues have another late game, which will be possibly another chance to clinch a playoff berth, 9 p.m. puck drop, Blues Kraken for the second to last game of the year, nearly wrapping up.
That might be fun to do a watch party for. I wonder if we could do that.
Well, not that late, but maybe for the Utah game. But I got things to do. Plus,
yeah, that's fair.
As much as I'll enjoy the national championship that night, I think I might be a little exhausted from the weekday.
That's fair.
Lot going on up here. Well, I think that'll do it from us, Thomas. Before we go, though, I certainly want to get your final thoughts. We haven't really talked about tonight's game for a while. Probably a good thing. Get the mind off of this past game, but let's wrap up this one with your final thoughts on tonight's game and how it, just moving forward to Saturday and how big that game could be now.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is that good teams close out games, and it looks like a reoccurring theme for the St. Louis Blues team is that when they're trying to close out games, it gets a little hectic, and at times it either gets tied or they lose the lead and don't even make it to overtime and get scored on with 20 seconds left, 10 seconds left, 5 seconds left, and that can't happen. Whether it's Jordan Binnington standing on his head, whether it's guys clearing the crease, whether it's guys selling out to block those shots, like you got to be able to close out games. And I know Jim Montgomery has been honing it into that squad since the first time that it happened. But the fact that it happened again against the Oilers is problematic. So look for them to shore that up before the playoffs happen, if the playoffs do happen. But like we talked about, we'll be excited to see what happens on Friday night between the Wild and Calgary. And hopefully the Blues take care of business against the Kraken and Utah. Get some momentum going into this potential first-round matchup.
It would be fantastic. Well, that'll do it from us. Thomas, thank you for joining us here. I'm Jacob Stanoch. This has been Blues Hub Postgame here on Sports Hub STL.